Hey everybody, welcome back to Change Your Perspective, Change Your Awareness, Change Your Life. I'm Dr. Michelina, leadership consultant, meaningful life coach, and logotherapist. And so I am here talking about leadership, leading to live, living to lead, honestly. And what ends up happening, I think, is like leadership gets a bad name, just like sales gets a bad name, because it's super multifaceted and nobody really understands what leadership is. Just because you have a position does not make you a leader, right? Leadership is a posture. Leadership is something that you live in. I was talking to someone today and they were like, hey, I'm seeing your stuff and I'm really feeling like I'm coming into, greater leadership and purpose, and I kind of want to like chase after it. And I was like, you can't chase after it. It already exists within you. You can't chase after leadership. You can't chase after your purpose, just like you can't chase after your path. They already exist inside of you. So your path is just naturally the journey that you are on because you are here and because you were born. Your purpose is something that's already inside you because you are here, because you were born. And leadership ability is something, you guessed it, that's already inside of you because you are here, because you were born. So when leadership, the mantle of leadership comes upon you, you already have it, okay? You exist, therefore you can lead. It's very simple. We make it more complicated. We're like, oh, now I'm a police officer, I'm in a leadership position. Oh, I'm a teacher, I'm in a leadership position. No, that's not the case. That's not true. Okay, you're always a leader because leadership is influence, and every single person has influence. Okay, so misconception number one on leadership is, and we're going to be talking, I think, a little bit about misconceptions in leadership today. Misconception number one is that you can chase after leadership, that you can be good or bad at leadership. That is true. But that you can chase after it is not true. It's an inner thing that comes out. It is not an outer thing that you can seek. Now you can be in poor leadership, certainly, which is to say, go back a few videos, unfocused, undisciplined, emotional, erratic, unsafe, insecure, etc. You can absolutely be in poor leadership. But that does not negate the fact that you are already a leader in training. You just may never train yourself. You may never go through the leadership training that you need to go through, right? So leadership misconception number two is that leadership has to do with ambition. That's actually not true either. You can be super go with the flow, super open, super just gonna see where this takes me, and still be a great leader, okay? I think specifically of my brother. It's his birthday today, so shout out to Brother Bear, happy birthday. But I think specifically with my brother about this one because he's never been the kind of like ruthless, ambitious persona that I am. But he is one of the best men, best leaders, and most successful people in the both conventional and unconventional definitions of success that I know. My brother is living out his dream right now. He's married to a woman that he absolutely adores. He's living in the place that he wants to live in, making the kind of money he wants to make, doing the things with his time that he wants to do, right? Getting paid to be in his purpose. My brother is a wonderful example of how leadership need not be ambitious. It just needs to be focused and disciplined and open and willing, right? And so if you don't know my brother, then I'm sorry for you because he's wonderful and he's amazing. And he, will just say, is a very talented musician out of Nashville, playing with one of the world's greatest country stars on the stage right now. And so I will leave it at that. But he is a wonderful example of how leadership need not be ambitious. It just needs to be focused and intentional and disciplined, right? So that's leadership misconception number 2. It's like you have to be ambitious to be a leader. No, you don't. I hear people all the time are like, oh, well, I'm not a leader. I'm like, what do you mean you're not a leader? Like, of course you're a leader. Just because you don't identify as one doesn't mean, because same thing here. Oh, well, I don't have a purpose. Not true. Unfortunately, you don't know anything about humans. You don't know anything about life. You don't know anything about humanity. Actually, very true that you have a purpose. Everybody has a purpose. Choose life or choose death. That's everybody's purpose. I'm not going into it here. There are several different ways we can choose life. And if we aren't actively choosing growth, helpfulness, healing, then we're inadvertently choosing death. But I won't go into it here. What I will say is this. Leadership has a lot of misconceptions because it is sort of a nebulous, I would say it's more nebulous than it needs to be, but it's sort of a nebulous topic. Leadership is a very intangible, soft kind of a skill, right? And so people say like leadership can be like felt. That's true. It's certainly true. There are people that you will go to like bat with, you will go to war for and with, you will go in partnership with, you will feel good about following. And then there are people who you're like, I will never go anywhere with you. I can't do anything with you. Like, no, thank you. Right. So leadership misconception number 3 is that everyone is the same type of leader, right? I think that's the hard thing about leadership and the fact that it is so nebulous. It's like people think, oh, well, they lead like that, so I don't lead like that. I'm not a leader. That's not true. Like I keep alluding to, if you've watched the last couple series, there are a lot of types of leadership, okay? I will probably really quickly, if I can find it, give you 10. If I can find it. I can find it. Okay, so 10 different types of leadership styles, okay? Coaching, visionary, servant, autocratic, laissez-faire, bureaucratic, democratic, pace setter, transformational, transactional. I'll add 2 that aren't even on there because they're the newest of the leadership styles in academia. Authentic leadership and steward leadership, which personally, those 2 are my favorite. And so I coach people how to be authentic steward leaders. That's what I do. Come home to self, authentic. Come home to Christ, stewardship, right? And so not everybody's coming home to self and not everybody's coming home to Christ, but like, hey, that's your issue, not mine. And so what ends up happening is that we see other people leading in a big way and we're like, wow, I love watching them, but I don't have that, right? I'm not like that. Like I can't do that. Well, yeah, no, you can't. Of course you can't do that. You're not that person. You cannot do that. But you can do your own leadership skill set, right? We just need to figure out what that looks like, what that is, how you show up, et cetera, who you're leading, who's following, etc., right? And so that misconception, I think, is a particularly dangerous one because it's like, it's the comparison trap all day. And it's like, yeah, no, leadership has about as many different faces as people do. It's like one of those things that make the world go round and we don't pay attention to it. Leadership is kind of like air. Like we need it. And it needs to be good quality for us to survive. But we don't really pay a lot of attention to it. Leadership is like that. It's a very intangible, nebulous, sort of abstract skill. But it doesn't need to be, right? It doesn't need to be because there are very specific things, as I'm outlining here. That's what I like to do. I like to take things that seem abstract and make them very concrete and actionable, right? You are a leader. Everybody's a leader. Here's how we break it down. But it does seem very nebulous. But we like to, there are specific, tangible, concrete things that leaders are, leaders say, leaders show up as, leaders be, right? And that I talked about, I think, yesterday. So check that out. Or 2 days ago, right? So this is part of the leadership series that we're doing here. And so, all this to say, misconceptions about leadership, there's a lot of them, you know. the fact that you're a leader just because you're in a position is a big one. It's a massive one. You know, it's like, oh, well, I'll just like love going back to Joe Biden, right? Not because of the Democrat-Republican thing, but because of the leadership and lack thereof thing. Not a leader. Not a leader, right? His position is that as the leader of one of the greatest countries in the world, potentially, presumably, maybe, if you know, at least one of the most interesting countries in the world. We could say that about America. But a leader? No. I saw something yesterday that it was like, Biden falls asleep at ceremony for Maui heroes. That is not the hallmark of a leader. No. Like, no. That's a hallmark of my grandfather. Like, that's a hallmark of a child. That's a hallmark of a baby. Why? Oh, well, people need to sleep. Yep, and there's a time and a place for it. That denotes a lack of discipline over the body. That's not good leadership, right? Good leaders, disciplined over their body, disciplined over their mind. No wonder we don't have good leaders. We don't like discipline, right? Good leaders are very aware of appropriate time and place of things. Good leaders communicate well, right? These are things Joe Biden does not do. So I don't care about presidential policy. I don't care about political affiliations. What I do care about is the hallmarks of good and poor leadership and where they are visible. Misconception, position equates to leadership. No, it doesn't. Absolutely does not, which is why we have a lot of problems in the country and all around the world, is because the people who are in leadership positions are not leaders. Or rather, because we are all technically leaders, they are not acting in good leadership and they are becoming poor managers, right? And so leadership is something that you can grow into. There are things that accelerate that process, but it's kind of like your sort of body, right? Like you grow into your body, but it's always there. Leadership's the same thing. Everybody's a leader, whether they believe it or not. Everybody has a purpose, whether they believe it or not. Everybody has a path. They're already on it. They may not believe it, but it doesn't make it less true. And so there are a lot of things about leadership that I think make people believe false stories and false premises. And so I'm hopeful that this series kind of brings a lot of awareness around what it is to be a leader, what it looks like, what it feels like, why it's important, and why, if you're not doing it, leadership study is the single most important. This is not, by the way, this is not because I teach this, guys. This is because, like, facts are facts. People who get the life they want to live are leaders. Look around at anybody who has the kind of levels of success that you could aspire to in this life, right? And that's not just like monetary, that's like moral, ethical, connective success levels. They are leaders. I'll give you a good example of a leader, Taylor Swift. She paid her people on the Eras tour like 30 grand bonuses. That's a good leader. Do you know why? Because she knows that you take care of everybody in the sphere. A good leader isn't just out for self. And I think that's probably the last misconception. Good leaders look out for themselves. No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. Good leaders are good leaders because they are tasked with taking care of their constituents, and they do. You know why I failed in leadership? Because I didn't take care of one of my followers. One of my, I don't want to say followers, one of my students, one of my people, right? I didn't take care of that one person. Out of 1,000, didn't take care of one. Bad leadership. Bad leadership. Very simple. Very simple. And so, bad teaching also, right? There's two different things there. Being a good teacher and being a good leader. And unfortunately, like for myself, I have failed in leadership. Guys, this is why I know, this is why I can teach this, right? I was a great teacher in that community, but more than that, I was a good leader in that community. So if you ever want to go and ask that people, any person in that community, circa 2012 to 2022, why it was such a big scandal and such a big heartache for that community, it was because, not because I was a great teacher, although I was that, but because I was a good leader. And then like nobody could fathom how I could mess up. Well, also, by the way, guys, leaders mess up all the time. Don't know what to tell you. Good leaders will mess up. Of course, I wasn't a good leader in that I didn't own my mistake until too late. There was a lot of things I didn't handle correctly in that. But good leaders, they make mistakes too. They just own up to it. They're like, oh crap, I did this. I have to fix it, right? And so there's a lot, I think, around leadership that people don't understand fully. And so because of that, they don't step into the leadership that they were born with. And here's the other thing. Does that mean a leader will never be a follower? No, certainly not. Here's another misconception. When you are a good leader, you know that you are also a good student. The best teachers are the best students. The best leaders make really great followers. And so it's like, I can support somebody else in their dream, in their vision, in their goal, and it doesn't impact me at all, other than I'm like, yeah, go get it. Love that for you. You know? The thing about poor leadership and poor management is that they're threatened. Those people are threatened by other people. Good leaders don't get threatened by anybody. I'm not threatened by you, right? Why would I be? You're doing you, love it. I'm doing me, love it. And so we have a world full of people who are just in their following ability and not in their leadership ability. And so that is why you see things like the idolatry that we have in this time where, you know, I mean, God, how many people are at Taylor Swift's tour, right? One person, hundreds of thousands of people. Now, in that crowd, you might have the next Taylor Swift. You might have the next Taylor Swift. But right now, they're just good followers. And if they don't step into their own leadership ability, into their own purpose, they will stay a follower. You see how that works? Good leaders inspire their followers to be leaders. It doesn't mean a good leader isn't also a follower at some point or at multiple points. There are plenty of people I follow. I'm a good leader. But I follow Simon Sinek. I follow Joyce Meyer. I follow Danny Morrill. Like, I follow a whole heck of a lot of people. Right? And so, all this to say, there are a lot of misconceptions around leadership. And so, I hope that this is a helpful series. I hope this is a helpful video today on bringing you awareness around leadership, why it's so important, what it is, what it looks like, what it doesn't look like, et cetera, et cetera. This is what I do. This is what I help my clients do. This is what I've done for myself. This is what I teach. This is what I've got a dissertation written on. This is what I have a doctorate in. Leadership is my favorite topic. It's not the only topic I talk about, but it is my favorite topic. It's why I'm a leadership consultant, kind of primarily, like first and foremost, over anything else I do. With that being said, if you need help in leadership, drop a comment, follow me on one of my socials, send me a message, I answer them. If you are still looking to get into better leadership, keep watching this, watch other people who are good on leadership. Okay, I always recommend Simon Sinek, I love him. If you're ready to move beyond that, contact me, let me know. Otherwise, keep watching here, keep joining this series. We're gonna have a couple more videos on it. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, grow the channel, and then I will see you guys on the next video.